Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a happy Tuesday. I do see some good mornings already in the chat. Good morning, Kaylee from Albertville. Hope you guys are having a wonderful start to the day. It's a little gloomy outside, but doesn't it feel good? It feels great. I've really enjoyed the weather that we're seeing so far. However, we will start to see warmer weather on the horizon in the next couple of days. So, got like another day of this false fall, and honestly, with this cooler air mass and just the back half of it, we're getting to like the wedge point or the back door of it. The great deal about that is the fact that it kind of dries out our rain chances just a tad. We're seeing more of a breeze as well for today, but taking a live look at Madison right now where it feels like 73. It's been nice to stand outside and, get stuff from my car or just be out and about and not feel like I'm sweating, Every step I felt like I was sweating almost 10 pounds last week, so it feels nice outside, and we'll continue to see that, like I said, for another day. Radar is rather quiet for the moment, too. Like I mentioned, we have less of a rain chance for today. We do start to see rain chances pick back up later this week, but very few rain chances for today. We've got about 10%. I think we took it down just because it's kind of dry. We'll see some kind of cooler air, little moisture in the air, but not enough for rain chances to stick around. We could see a passing shower. So some areas could see a very quick, light, almost misty kind of rain, which is kind of my least favorite kind of rain, to be honest. It's like that fine rain. You can't really tell it's raining until you look at a window real hard or something. So you won't really see much of that today. There'll be a good deal of folks with just some dry conditions. Cloudy and windy. Yes, that has been the name of the game for the past couple of days. And those rain chances have been just dwindling out of our forecast also. So it's been nice if you haven't had an opportunity to enjoy and sit on the patio, or I know some students and teachers and even parents are getting folks prepared for back to school. I think, I know Limestone, I think, started last week. There's another county that started today. Can't remember who exactly, but I think all of our counties at this point are now back into their school year. So this would be a good couple of days to wind down, decompress. If your students are not quite ready to let go of summer, they'll still have some favorable weather to go and play outside in. I think I saw yesterday there was some folks commenting that their kids were playing outside and had enjoyed the nice temperate weather, and I bet you could sit outside and enjoy along with them while not sweating, because it's how my parents were. They would let us play in the summers, but they would be sitting in the shade in the cool part of the house and watching us play. But temperatures right now, low in 70s. Again, I can't exaggerate enough how much I love this weather. Like, I don't think I can explain that any more than I am right now. Molten is sticking at 68. So we're going to start to see that upper trend into those mid 70s well into today. And it's going to be another day that's going to reach that 80-degree mark much later, if areas reach it. There are some spots, I believe, Huntsville and Athens, Decatur possibly. I think those are the three that are going to hit 80 for a moment. But it'll be a challenge with all the overcast conditions and wind that's in the area. So that'll kind of make things a little tough for the forecast. And as always, we let you know what changes and how something so simple as, just the cloud cover or the amount of a breeze kind of keeps us down into different parts of the 80s or even the upper 70s. So that's kind of been the day-by-day change with our forecast. We're starting to see that the overcast clouds are kind of winning the battle here. But no rain chances to note, so it's pleasant weather. Even though it's not sunny, it's still pleasant for you to go out and enjoy. We're expecting these temperatures to stick in those mid-70s for the next hour or so. We'll get up to 80 possibly here in Huntsville. Other areas, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, especially when we're looking at some of those eastern areas that had a good deal, those areas that saw rain like yesterday, those areas are still going to be in that back half of the rain-cooled air. That's in Georgia. I believe there's still some showers over that way for the moment, and a good deal of cloud cover is sitting over both Alabama and Georgia. So moving into 2 to 5 p.m., we'll still see cloud cover, and that, like I said, will make it a challenge for some areas to hit 80 and stay there. Other areas will be much cooler. We could see around 76, 77 as our lowest part of that range. But moving into the evening, again, nice temperate weather. If you had some yard work to do, now's the time to do it. If you had any outdoor plans, you're looking ahead to the weekend, it's going to get warmer, but we're not expecting extreme heat. We're going to be still in those low-end 90s getting into the weekend. So if you had any outdoor plans even tonight, maybe some folks are getting back into the swing of enjoying their evenings outside before it gets back to our hot and humid weather, but we'll still see cloud conditions for most of our Tuesday and then into Wednesday as well. So if Max wants to work, there we go. Now, for our students, I promised I would do a playground forecast. If there's teachers tuning in, students tuning in, we have a pretty favorable day for playground activities. If your student maybe has, my mom is a teacher, she's been enjoying the outdoor feeling. The teachers have been enjoying it so far. That's what my sources are telling me. It's been nice for them to sit outside. Any other time they have to sit outside with the fans and the sunglasses. So at least we're all getting a nice break from the heat. So still, gorgeous conditions for outdoor activity. Even though it's not all bright and sunny and, visually appealing, it still feels nice that you don't have to go outside and sweat to death. Looking at your weekend ahead, though, if you're looking ahead for any plans that you may have, rain chances do come back into the mix by that point. So we'll see low in 90s. Isolated thunderstorms for sure, especially on Sunday. Once we start to warm back up, we start to get back into that cycle that we're used to for this time of year. We're around our average. Our average typically is anywhere between 90 to 91, and I think there's maybe a day or two in the next week that 92 is our average, but for the most part, 91 as the median there. Partly cloudy conditions to expect for Saturday and Sunday, but it's going to be much more sunshine than what we've seen for the past couple of days, which is nice. Let's see. Hi, Daniel. I hope you're enjoying your Tuesday. Wished it had more rain. Yes. I do kind of wish we had a little rain. Just a teeny bit more. Especially for our folks that garden. I do kind of get concerned. I think the coolest part about living in Savannah with some of the stories I got to do, they had to genetically engineer pumpkins because the soil in Savannah and like parts of coastal Georgia as a whole, it's just not favorable for pumpkin growing. And so when you get to that pumpkin patch season, it's kind of like you have to drive a good, I think, hour and a half is what they were telling me, to 2 hours to get to like the nearest pumpkin patch, which, I mean, it's an event. You want to, take a road trip, a day trip, and go do that. But for the folks that the farmers that wanted to go ahead and start growing pumpkins on their own land, UGA had students genetically engineer a pumpkin. I think they've genetically engineered 2. I had them. I got to get pumpkins from the pumpkin patch, and one was white. I can't remember what the other one was. Just a regular pumpkin, but I can't remember the other one's name. But the white one, I think, was the bulldog. They named after their mascot, which was really cool. But back to the point, I do think about some of our folks that, whether you're gardening at home or you are a farmer and you are kind of worried about your crops, I think that's kind of one of the points in weather that it's always been really cool for me to learn to see like another way that it affects folks, because I can always talk about how it's going to affect someone's weekend plans, or, you know, I know, say my dad's doing lawn work, or if I know that somebody in the neighborhood is planning to have a outdoor party or something planned for the weekend, or even just something that people are doing outside. Like, I know we're about to get into the thick of football season. Well, basketball season's always indoors, but lots of sports being played, and track as well. So I start thinking about those folks that have to practice in it, or they have track meets outside, or, you know, football games. So those are the kind of events that I think about, but you don't think about the farming very often because you don't run into it very often, you know? So I think that's really cool to kind of think about with the forecast. That's one of the greater parts of it. I think, yes, some areas did see a little drizzle this morning. And that's where our 10% comes in for Tuesday. We have some areas that could see some passing, and I mean quickly passing, drizzle, misty rain. You probably will blink, and by the time you realize it's raining, it's probably going to be over. I drove through a misty patch, I would say, this morning on my way to work, and by the time I realized it was misting, it was gone. So, looking at your week ahead, though, for the next couple of days, rain chances pick back up to about 20%. Even still, expect some very light showers. Nothing severe at all planned. We don't expect thunderstorms for the next few days, just really cloudy conditions, anywhere between light mist to steady drizzle. That's going to be in your rain forecast for the next few days. So just, I would say, keep the umbrella nearby. Not on standby, just nearby. Because, I mean, you never know when you could get caught in. I just personally don't like walking in rain at all. So there is that. But you can keep those umbrellas there, just in case. But I always keep one in my backpack. Backpack, purse, there's an umbrella in each one, regardless. There's like 3 umbrellas in my car. I just do not like walking in the rain. I'd rather be inside when it's raining. Like, I don't want to run errands. I don't want to do anything, nothing at all. I get excited when it rains after I finish doing all my errands, especially if it's been like a long day. Like, I've done my groceries and I've picked up something from like a makeup store, and I'm doing all my maintenance. I went and got this done and took care of my dog, and, you know, all sorts of long morning stuff. And then when it rains after that, I'm like, perfect. So I can go home and rest. Yeah. It's just nothing like it, which I'm so excited for fall. Anyway, looking at your Thursday and Friday, though, we'll get to the upper 80s on Thursday. 90s pop back into the forecast right around Friday. And as you notice, our rain chance picks up a tad on Sunday, but that's going to be more of your isolated storms. So still, not everyone will see rain, but if you see rain, heavier chance. Stick with me on that. So, could hear some rumbles of thunder as well throughout your Sunday. So once we get closer to the long range pattern. Okay, so long range, looks like we'll see 90s for the start of the week, and then we start to see another cooling trend briefly. Looks as though we may see another western cooling trend. If I remember correctly, because I looked at the map for this a while ago, and by a while I mean like maybe 2 hours ago, cooler conditions move through like Midwest. So the western communities will face what our eastern communities faced this time. So it'll cool us down more on that end. And then there will also be those rain chances on the western end. So basically what we saw this week, but in reverse, and the chance to cool down won't be as strong. So we won't take a complete plummet as of right now, long-term wise. looks as though we'll stick around those upper 80s, but we won't take a major drop like we did previously. So we'll see rain chances in between. I would say definitely your Tuesday through Thursday of next week, but I believe it could also kind of pull into Friday as well. It'll be a weak cold front, but we'll still get that rain cooled air off of it as well as some of those rain chances. I believe right now it's still at that 30% still isolated, but of course as we get closer to the long range we'll definitely have more information on that. You're welcome, Justin. Thank you for asking. That's always a good question, because I looked at it, and of course we around the nation, other meteorologists are like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have another cool week. It's gonna be another pocket of cool air, and it looks like it may be, and that's exciting for August, but it also makes our job just a touch more challenging, just to kind of plan everything and make sure we're forecasting, giving you the numbers, and kind of explaining and expressing. So a lot of earlier this week's forecast was cooled because we had that rain cooled air for sure coming off of the wedge that was moved through Tennessee for sure. We had that coming from the Great Lakes through Tennessee all the way here, but the greater threat of severe thunderstorms and heavier rain stayed more toward the Georgia area, and that's why our eastern folks, especially, I noticed Fort Payne kept getting the heaviest amount of rain. DeKalb County, Jackson County, those areas kept getting the most rain out of all of us. We did see chances here and there. I think Sunday, Lincoln County had a good downpour around like 8 o'clock, but most of the rain stayed east because that's where that cold front was pushing to southeast. So it barely missed a lot of our counties, but because that rain cooled air was coming behind it and the cloud cover that comes off of your cold air mass or cold front at this point, that brought our temperatures down. That did enough to bring our temperatures down on this end. But over in the southeast Georgia area, looking at radar, I want to say that was Monday even. They had some heavy rain chances like across that southern stretch of Georgia. I would say around the Valdosta area, Valdosta, Brunswick, that stretch there had some great rain chance. But back to here in the valley. Like I mentioned, we'll see a warm up this week. We could see another formation of cool air mass moving back through right around Tuesday, cooling us down to the upper 80s. Still sticking kind of on a cooler trend, just a tad warmer than we saw from this week, but nothing extreme. We're not getting back into those triple digits. Not yet, at least, because we still have, 2-3 weeks of August left. But we are still expecting maybe another week of mildly warm temperatures. So, with that being said, of course, I can sit here, yap all day long about the weather. That's what I'm here for, and that's what I love doing. So, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back TVL in a couple minutes, and then we also have our WAFF at noon. And then you have this evening that you can check in, and you can always watch our Fastcast around 3 o'clock. So I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday again, and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will be back for noon.